Hello everybody, Tracy Sizemore here again with another RawTracy video. So in this case I'm using this as a sort of platform to tell you a couple things. One is that I'm currently working up a detailed outline for a series of YouTube videos that I plan to do about creating mysteries in RPGs. Well, creating and running mysteries in RPGs. Those two things are kind of inseparable, and it's special for RPGs, so it's not, I don't know, I just want to do it. I just want to do it because mysteries is one of those issues, one of those things that are really misunderstood and really kind of, they're harder than they seem. In RPGs especially. And so I kind of want to do it because I think that I do it well. And again, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, and I'll cover that all in this series that I'm going to do. But I wanted to let you know that I'm working on that, and that is going to be less of a RawTracy thing and more of a rehearsed Tracy thing. So I'm giving you this RawTracy thing in the meantime, because that is not quite ready yet. And I don't know when it will be ready, but I've got a first draft done. And I don't know how many videos it will be, but I'm hoping to, I don't know, keep them down to maybe 5 to 10 minutes each, maybe 4 or 5 videos, but I really don't know. I don't know. It's a specific way that I run RPG mysteries. That's what it's going to be. And it will cover a whole slew of reasons why I do it that way, which in doing so will explain why mysteries in RPGs are hard and why I've refined it in this way. Anyway, that's just what's to come, and I just wanted to let you know that that's on its way. Meanwhile, I thought that I would sort of expand on my GM thing that I did last time, which I think was, GMing, just do it, and GMing is an art form. This time I kind of want to, it's kind of a, this is an obvious thing, but it's something that a lot of people don't talk about in terms of the dynamics of the player-GM relationship and GMing in general. And it's this is what it is. GMing is all about trust. So, in order to tell a story, in order to collectively tell a story with your players participating and adding to the story, and you giving them a backdrop in which to do that as the GM, it's all about how much your players trust you, and that's probably the biggest one, and how much you trust your players. The more trust there is between you and your players, the more risk-reward there is, or there can be in the game. And what I mean by that is, and this is something I struggle with. And the other thing, before I go on, it's not just trust between you and your players and players and you. It's trust, and this is really probably the biggest thing, trust in yourself as a GM. Do you trust yourself to successfully run your players through an adventure that you've created, or an adventure that you have and that you're running them through? Because if you don't trust yourself, again, that can lead to a less satisfying game. Not a bad game, not at all. It's all part of the process, right? But the more you trust yourself to be the leader of that table, the better the game is going to be, or has the potential to be. So, to get back to what I was saying before, without trust, the players are not going to think, okay, the hardships that the GM present to us are fun, or are going to have a payoff later. They're just going to think of them as hardships that the GM presents them. So You know, if particularly difficult die rolls or things not quite working out like they should, I mean, like they expect them to, or having a twist that happens because of a certain situation that makes the player's victory into a defeat. You know, these kinds of things can happen, and they can happen in stories, they can happen in RPGs, but there's a difference between when they happen with a player group that trusts the GM to say, oh, this is our defeat. This is a defeat, and now we have to rise up and double our efforts, or, you know, now we have to go after the real bad guy, or whatever it is. If the players trust the GM to understand that this is what the GM has done, then the players are more likely to take it as that setback and that dramatic, that sort of beautiful dramatic development that motivates their characters to want to do better next time, or to get the big bad after getting the little bad, you know. If the players don't have the trust of the GM, that defeat can turn into disappointment, a big defeat, and feeling like you're hitting your head against a brick wall because you don't feel like the GM understands that that eventually the players have to get a win, right? So, I don't know, I'm sort of rambling, and this is sort of an obvious thing, but it's a good thing to point out, because as a GM, as somebody who wants to be a really good GM, I am all about trying to engender that trust between me and my players as quickly as possible. And there are several techniques and things you can do to promote that, especially at when you're not playing with a regular group. If you're playing in a con game, you have to promote this sense of trust quickly. One thing that you can do is be confident at the table. We've talked about that before. Confidence is everything. If you're confident in the system you're running, if you're confident in the adventure you're running, if you're confident in what you're doing, that is going to express itself and sort of, you know, wash over the table in a mood that you've presented, and the players will start to trust you because you're in control of yourself, of your narrative, and in control of spotlight, and a fan of the players. Once you've sort of established that rapport, they will begin to trust you. And if they trust you, you can do things to mess with them, and then give them a bigger reward later on. You know, I am all about doing the things that you need to do to establish trust at the table as fast as possible. It's not easy to sort of you know, lay down point by point what you can do to do that. That's sort of, I don't know, it's an intuitive thing. I could lay out certain things. Again, be confident in what you're running, be confident in the system you're running, be a fan of the players, all those things that a lot of other people will give you as advice to GMs. That's all in an effort to engender that kind of trust. And this is where I have a problem. This is where my challenge is. My challenge is that I don't trust myself well enough. And I've gotten a lot better over the years of trusting that I know what I'm doing. Trusting that I know the system well enough that when the system throws those wrenches into the mix and really end up hurting a PC in a way that I didn't expect or want to happen, I have to trust myself to know what to do in those situations, to know how to keep the narrative flowing, and to know how to keep the player engaged, even if their character has just taken, you know, massive damage and may be unconscious right now. I have to trust myself to know what to do to keep their engagement. you know. And up until recently, I really didn't. I was afraid. And when you get into to more swingy and unpredictable dice mechanic systems like Savage Worlds, for example, where you could one-shot a big bad villain with the right dice roll, you really do have to trust both the system and yourself and understand those dials and levers you can move to sort of mitigate some of that unpredictability, you know. And really it's not a matter of not knowing what to do. It's a matter of just trusting yourself in what to do. Stay true to the system, but trust your narrative ability to do what's necessary to keep the game on track, you know, and to allow the players to fail and allow them to feel what that failure feels like, so that they are extra motivated and do the extra things that they might not normally have done in the first time to really kick ass when they go after the revenge, you know, or the second time, or the big bad after, you know, being defeated by the little bad, or whatever, you know, or being defeated the first time, or whatever it is. Trust that you can do it, trust that they will trust you, and trust them to play along, you know. These things are critically important to having a good game at the table, I think. And they're critically important to think about and to try to actively work toward when you're both creating adventures for one-shots and when you're developing your relationship with your home group, whatever that is. Trust is everything. And the more trust you have, the better stories you can tell. So, I don't know if this is of any use. It's just something that people don't talk about. And it's sort of one of those things that's important. And I think the only reason I bring it up is because it's worth thinking about, right? It's worth actively thinking about when you're thinking about how to be a better GM, how to be a better game runner at a con, and how to be a better leader of your regular group of players for campaigns and other such things. So it's just something to think about. Okay, well, until next time, hopefully I will have the mysteries outline ready to go, and the next video you see will be an introduction to that. Hopefully. We'll see. Okay, thanks for watching. Talk to you later.